part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
It's beginning to look a lot
Nope.
like Bowman.
I really wasn't expecting any of that, and I didn't like it at all.
I said Bowman. That's like your favorite.
I know, but everything that led up to the no. You know how I feel about you singing on the podcast.
You're saying you don't like that, but I watched as I said the word Bowman, your nipples poked through your shirt.
It's a thin shirt, and I have
You
man
cut right
titties.
through that Voltron shirt.
When you have a thin shirt on and you have large.
It's
man
more about
tits.
Bowman than what I said. I know I opened the door here. I'm scared of what you're about to say.
I won't say it then. I was just going to say it.
You cannot say it.
Yes, I can. I'm not saying it. If anybody wants to know what I was going to say, message us, and I will try to remember what I was going to say.
Did you
when
just
do.
say slide into my DMs
I
to
did.
find out what
Slide
I was
in my DMs to say what I was going to say about my nipples.
You might not get what you want when you send that message to Gary. This is the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the sports collector.
And as always, we're brought to you by the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And I am disappointed that you didn't like this singing. However, it is Bowman season.
It is Bowman season. And if
it's
you would have made up
exciting.
some type of an original Bowman song, that would have been cool, but you cross-merged it with
You
some
wanted me to
Christmas
write
music.
an original banger off the cuff? What do you think I am?
Have you not seen the
I'm
the
not
new,
Colin Mockery.
have you
This
not
isn't
seen the
Who's
Weird
Line.
Al
I'm not
biopic?
I'm not Wayne Brady.
Have you not seen the Weird Al biopic with Harry Potter playing Weird Al?
Do I look like Weird Al?
No, but you know who does? Harry Potter does a little bit.
Okay.
He
This
fits
is-
really well in that movie.
This is off the rails.
I'm a
We're
huge Weird Al
58
fan.
seconds
Sorry.
into this. This is out of hand.
Okay. You want to just dive right into the list? Everybody likes our banter, and you're saying we're out of hand.
Well, it's true. You can't go off the rails and just stay there like everybody loves it. It's like everybody loves to see a good car wreck. You don't want to hit a tree.
No, but if somebody else does, we're the other people.
I know, but we're not the other people right now. We're in the car.
We're hitting the tree, but our listeners are watching
We're
it and enjoying
careening out
every
of
minute
control.
Of it. Yeah.
And you're also trying to third person this. You love yourself so much. You're listening.
I'm going
as a-
through the fourth wall, baby.
Oh, my God. Anyway, I wanted to talk about some recent pickups. This is a podcast just about sports cards. And I went and got one of those gallery megas you were talking about. Oh, one thing I meant to tell you. There is a blaster format on that.
On gallery, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said there's only one.
No, it's just retail.
Dang it, I thought
Yeah.
I got you wrong. No, there was a
No, there's no hobby though.
Yeah, right. Anyway, picked that up, pulled out a Wander Blue foil to 75 rookie card in that
Very
box. Nice. Comps aren't crazy right now, but it's definitely holding a good grade.
It's because he was hurt all year.
Yeah, doesn't help. And then also get a good little Vladdy Jr. auto.
Yeah.
A numbered, what is it, Heliot Ramos?
Helio Ramos.
Helio Ramos. It sounds like a Helio Rambus cloud. Storms are brewing. Here comes Helio Rambus.
A rhombus is a shape in
Helio-
geometry.
Cumulonimbus sounds
There
real
you go.
close to that.
Yeah, but Ramos, not rhombos.
I'm trying to do something special here.
You're trying
You
to bring
said be
geometry
creative,
and clouds
make it
together.
specific.
Weather and geometry. It's like your dad digging for snow. It
It
doesn't
is true.
make a lot of
I
sense.
have to know, listeners at home, when your parents get excited about a potential snowstorm, do they go digging for the forecast that has the highest amount of precipitation?
And then just blast it to everybody they know.
Well, he didn't blast it. He just said it's going to snow. And then I was like, I heard it's like 3 inches. And he's like, well, son, it's actually the perfect storm.
There are so many jokes I could make right now,
I'm
and
scared
I'm
and
not going
uncomfortable.
to.
I'm scared and uncomfortable. But I'll tell you this right now. If you see that heliorhombus cloud come rolling in on Christmas Eve, you're in trouble. It's a whiteout condition.
The cloud looks kind of chunky, very Cuban. It hits the ball really hard.
Wow.
I just described
I
Helio
can't-
Ramos.
I can't believe what you just said.
Yes, you can.
No. I think you just got canceled.
I can only be canceled if I agree to be canceled.
It's like of all the things you should have been canceled for, that's the one that did
That's
it.
the one that got
Well,
me.
it was a cloud joke about a baseball
I
player.
made a cloud joke about a Cuban guy looking like a Cuban guy. It's crazy.
Cubans at
Put me
home
in
listening
jail.
to this.
We got a big listenership in Cuba. We do talk a lot of
As
baseball.
a fellow Latinx,
I wish that this was a video podcast right now because the look that I just gave Jason when he said that would make a meme.
you basically just said, I wish this was a video so I could watch myself saying what I was about to say. Like, you were so obsessed with yourself. Do you realize that? I wish I had this on video to watch myself reacting to you over and over and over on a reel. Because you and I are both so narcissistic that the first thing we do after we upload this is listen to our own episode.
Oh, absolutely. I got to make sure that everything sounds right.
Turn my mic up is what we always say.
Yeah. Or just get in that mic.
We
a
are
little bit
off
more.
the rails.
Okay, we are off the rails.
Helio Rhombus, though. I got his gallery exclusive to 1 second. There's just a lot of good cards in that.
It's a fun rip.
If you're
For
picking
$80,
up
it's a fun rip.
last minute some cards for the kids that really want to chase it, and it's guaranteed 2 autos. There's going to be several numbered cards, lots of foil. Even the vet foil cards in there are pretty cool.
They
like
look cool.
Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
What else did I pull out? Anyway, you get the idea. It wasn't a massive net loss, and I'll probably be out ahead on the Wander once he takes off, if he does.
Yeah.
So that was my pickup. I was looking for Bowman Chrome, but it sounds like you found all of it locally.
I did. I actually ripped a lot of baseball this week. I ripped some Topps Holiday, which is a fun product this year. I always like Topps Holiday because it's a cheap rip, and the variations can have some value. They did a really good job this year of putting a lot more parallels in the product. I hit the Wander of 99 from Topps Holiday, which actually comps pretty strong. Couple $100.
That's really pretty because it's,
175.
that red border on it looks
Yeah.
really cool.
And then I hit a few other really nice SPs. The metallic snowflakes this year are a little easier to tell in the design that it's a parallel. So that was a fun rip. I didn't hit any autos in that. Those are tough autos to hit. Usually you're going to hit a patch card in there. Although a few years ago I did hit a Vlad Jr. rookie of 3 RPA in there. This was before the boom.
I remember that.
I
That
sold
was-
it for like $250.
That was right when I started
yeah.
collecting.
Yeah.
And it was actually a little bit hard to move it because the value was climbing so much. Nobody knew what anything was worth in that
Right.
3 to 6 months where everything was just
Right.
taken.
And no, I didn't sell. I traded it
Yep, you
for
did.
a BGS 9.5 Ja Morant Prism rookie.
You know what I just remembered?
Yeah.
That led me to my favorite Topps product. Was it Topps Tribute that I go nuts over?
It's a great overpriced product, but it's beautiful.
Beautiful cards.
Yeah. They just don't hold a ton of value. But
Has
they're beautiful.
nothing to do with what you just said.
Nope, not at all. So
But Holiday, here's the thing. I'll say this. I do like that there's variations in there. I don't want to see snowflakes and candy canes on every card. It's just a bit overdone to me. And when I first bought it, that first set, I don't know if they're still doing it, like you'd have the SP variation where it's like a candy cane.
instead of a bat.
That's a product where I would love to see Fanatics have you build out a set, seasonal set, and then
redeem
go
it.
towards Series 1 next
Yeah.
year. I think that'd be cool.
I really think we're going to start seeing some of that from Fanatics, and it's going to be awesome. And if not, if you're listening, Fanatics, take that idea and do something with it.
Because I would buy 1 or 2 of those blasters of Holiday, but if I knew I could build out a set, and if you build out the whole set and turn it in, you can get a hobby box of Series 1, which,
Right.
to the store costs nothing. It's probably already
Right.
allocated. You're going to get me to buy about 10 of those boxes to build it out.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's the math on it, and that's why they do it, and I went to Bible college, so I'm smart.
So Topps Holiday did okay in Topps Holiday. Then I picked up 7 megas. Bowman Chrome dropped this week. Retail. Hobby dropped 2 weeks ago. Retail dropped this week. And it stocked around here most of the places yesterday. And I did okay in those megas. But again, I talk about Bowman every 4th episode, it seems like. It's not a product where your goal is to crush it right out of the gate. It's a product where you're hoping to make money in the long run on it, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, some of that stuff. But Bowman Chrome this year is kind of a weird release. There's some really hot prospects in it, but they're releasing draft next week. So we've had basically a month between Bowman Chrome release and Bowman draft release.
Why do you think that they're so close to each other? Because it seems like a poor decision to release them that
So
close to each other.
Chrome got released 2.5 months later than normal. And there were some supply chain issues that caused that. instead of pushing draft into February, they decided to release it close so that they could release regular Bowman baseball on its normal schedule.
Which is the
in
king.
March.
Bowman draft is
Bowman draft. Here's the thing with Bowman draft. It's a hobby-only product. It's the best value Bowman product you can buy. The jumbo HTA boxes have 5 autos.
Are those what, $600 to $800 a piece right now?
I don't know what they're going to come out at this year. Last year they came out at like $680. I think they'll be a little bit lower.
And you're guaranteed
this year.
what, 3 autos in each?
5 autos
5.
in jumbo. Hobby is 3.
Right.
Hobby was like $290 last
And the
year.
jumbo has like the rack packs, right?
Correct. It has 5 rack packs in it.
Do the LCSs sell just those rack packs?
Some of them will, but not very many. Most of them will keep it as a full
Be a
box
fun game
and
to
sell
play.
it. So they so that product comes out next week. So it's a weird little situation that you find yourself in with Bowman. It's why it's really important if you're ripping Bowman right now and ripping Bowman Chrome, if you hit some of the top guys, sell them early because you'll be able to buy them back in literally a month for 60% of what you sold them for. It's a real easy way to churn money and make profit.
So if you're like me, a couple times a year you do your research on what's going on with baseball prospecting. But I'm not like a Gary type of prospect guy where you have to constantly keep up with what's going on. I could probably list 5 or 10 guys I was excited about in July, and you would tell me half of those guys, man, yeah, you need to let those go, or they're not worth anything, or hope something happens, right? That's the nature of prospecting. So with that in mind, we wanted to help you out if you're buying Bowman Chrome. If you're trying to flip it or make a little money quickly, you're going to need to know exactly who to sell, who to sleeve, and who to leave. You see what I did there, guys?
Sell it, sleeve it, leave it.
That's called rhyming.
And that's called a new segment on the Ball Card Show.
Sell it, sleeve it, or leave it. That's the beautiful thing about Bowman. If you don't sell it, if you don't sleeve it and keep it for yourself, you can actually store that away in a box. And if it has that magic number 1 on it, there's a good chance it's going to be worth something down the road.
Right. Well, and here's the other important thing to keep in mind with this. When we say sell it, it doesn't mean we don't like the player. It means that you can sell it now at hype prices and buy that player. So a perfect example of that, last year's Bowman draft, the hottest dude in the entire product was Marcelo Mayer. Okay? His colored autos were selling for stupid money. And literally 3 months later, when Bowman Baseball came out, he was still just as good of a prospect, playing really well, and you could buy his stuff back for 50 to 60% of what you sold it for in the draft window.
Yeah.
That would fall into the sell it category. Even if you like the player, sell it.
Sleeve it is, hey, you could sell it right now. There's some value there. But hang on to it to see what happens in the next year or two, because there's a good chance by holding this, it's going to be an appreciating value, or they have the best chance at becoming a valuable card or a valuable player in their program soon. Third option is leave it. Why do we do that? Well, I'll tell you why. I'm glad you asked. Thanks, Gary. Case in point, I was digging through cards this morning, and I found a press pass Geno Smith auto to 25 on
Rookie
card,
yeah.
signed Eugene. That's cool. I'm glad I left that in a box somewhere.
Right.
Because I probably would have thrown that in with another collection of a bunch of those autos and not thought much of it, but that's got a little bit of value now. So sometimes it's worth it if you're willing to keep it on it. So we got a lot to talk about here. Are you ready to jump into this segment?
Fire away.
So I'm gonna list some names off, and we're basically saying sell it or sleeve it. So do you move it now? Do you sleeve it and hang on to it? If we don't mention the name here, we're saying just leave it in a box. Don't pitch it. Bowman Chrome, all those Chrome cards look really cool, but we would encourage you to hang on to anything that's like color variation, that's centered really well, numbered stuff, obviously. Firsts, you don't want to pitch those unless you like me. If you're not excited about a pitcher, I typically don't worry about that. But
and if it's a guy that you're sleeving to hold for a while, just a reminder, and this is not a sponsored segment, but if you're listening to SGC, we'll take your money. Between right now and December 31st, if it is a 2022 card from a Bowman release and it says Chrome on it, you can get it graded for $9.
after that, I'll probably jump back up to what, 20, 25?
I think they're at 18 right now.
Okay, not bad. I love the competition that's happening. All right.
So anyhow, go ahead.
first one up, I'm going to kind of hop around here with the Nats. Christian Vaquero.
Christian Vaquero. Sell it.
Why?
He was the, I believe, number 1 or 2 ranked international free agent signing. Very young. Nationals organization. Has some tools, but again, the biggest reason to sell these guys is right now is going to be the most expensive that they are until they get called up to the majors. So right now is the best time to sell his stuff. If you believe in him, buy him back. For me personally, he's not a cat that I see what some people see in him. He's a cat that just, to me, is going to be if he gets to the major leagues, a average everyday player, which is great, but
Okay. All
sell
right.
him now.
Christian Vaquero, if you get that SP, if you get a bunch of them, sell them as a lot, make your money. All right?
I think I have $10 a piece for just his base chrome
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. That's really good. It's not
Yeah.
going to be like that in
No.
2 weeks.
No.
Alexis Hernandez.
Alexis Hernandez, sleeve it. Alexis Hernandez is the younger brother of Christian Hernandez, who is one of the hottest prospects in baseball, Cubs organization. This kid is also in the Cubs organization. Legit projectable 5-tool potential. Has a frame that he's going to grow into some pop, real smooth swing, not a long swing, not a lot of holes in it, and a solid player in the field. He's got a lot of good intangibles too. So he's a dude that I'm holding on to. He's not somebody that you're going to get a ton of money out of right now unless it's super short print. You get a of 25 in orange or a red or something like that. But he's a sleeve it.
What about, can we do a 2-for-1 here?
We can.
The Churio brothers.
The Churio brothers, yes. So
Oh,
Jackson.
I'm resisting a cereal joke after the bombed cloud joke a minute ago.
Appreciate that.
This one's even closer phonetically.
So Jackson Churio, his first Bowman card was in Bowman Baseball this year, but he didn't have any autos. So this release is his first autos. Jackson Churio is going to be a really good player. I think he's going to be in the majors by next year if he doesn't get a call up at the end of this year. That being said, his autos are going for stupid money. Like,
how stupid?
His last true gold auto was $10,000.
That's
so stupid. So again, I think he's going to be really good, but I also think in like April you'll be able to buy that gold auto for $6,000, right? So if you can get $10,000, pocket 4, put the 6 aside, wait till March and buy him back if you believe in him.
And that's Jackson.
That's Jackson Churio.
On to the next Churio.
The next
So
Churio,
hard not to do it.
Jason Churio, is a sell it for different reasons. He is getting the hype. So if you guys remember in Bowman baseball this year, Fernando Tatis's little brother was in there, Elijah Tatis. And the last name made people go nuts over him. He got cut in like May and hasn't played an inning of professional baseball since. Jason Churio, I think, has a little bit more physical talent than Elijah Tatis did, but he ain't his brother at all. And he's in the Indians organization, which is kind of worse than the Brewers organization from a standpoint of the hobby and the love that guys get. So he's a guy that I'm selling as fast as I can get my hands on him. And his raw chromes are selling for $5 or $6 right now, which is, again, kind of silly.
All right, I'm going to keep it moving. The
Yep.
next one, a name that you mentioned last week, I believe, Ryan Reckley with the Giants.
Sleeve it. Number 9 international prospect this year, and he's flown completely under the radar. Very reminiscent style of play to like a Jazz Chisholm. Maybe not as much pop right now, but he can grow into some pop. The only concern I have with Reckley right now is that he's in the Giants organization. He's a shortstop, and the Giants just signed Carlos Correa to a 13-year deal for $350 million. Now, Carlos Correa is not going to be playing shortstop at 40 years old. There's a chance that Reckley could move to third. There's a chance that Reckley could move to second. There's a chance that Reckley could move to the outfield. But wherever he plays at, his hit tool is going to hold up. The question with Reckley is, does he grow into power? For the number 9 overall signing in the class, number 9 ranked signing in the international class, he's flying way under the radar. There are guys who were ranked 20 spots behind him that are selling for more than he is right now.
Okay, so sleeve it, hang on to him.
Yep.
I'm going to screw this one up. Yaqui Fernandez?
Yaquil Fernandez.
Is there an L there?
Yeah, Yaquil Fernandez.
Do you commonly dot your L's?
Well, I dot the I, and then the L looks like it's part of the R in Reckley.
Oh, it's just a Reckley.
Yeah, I'm terrible at handwriting. So
This is horrible.
yeah, it's real bad. But yeah, Yaquil Fernandez, Rockies, again, another dude that has a legit 5-tool potential.
You selling him?
Sleeving him.
Sleeving him.
Right now, yes. And so from a hobby standpoint, he has all of the things that the hobby looks for. He hit 280 with a lot of fly balls. His batting average on balls in play last year in minors was like 289, which is just insane. Generates a lot of backspin, so he's going to hit stuff in the air, and he plays in Colorado. That usually translates
That's a good combination.
to home runs.
Yeah.
And his stuff is relatively cheap right now. When I pull it, I'm sleeving it and holding on to it, and I've actually been kind of scooping it a little bit because I think he's got a lot of Ezekiel Tovar vibes. And last year, if you bought Ezekiel Tovar early, you tripled your money.
Yeah. Okay, on to my favorite organization that's actually got some good stuff going on in the farm system right now.
Yes, they do.
So let's talk about Ricardo Cabrera.
Ricardo Cabrera, number 3 international signing, Reds. Fun fact, if you look at Ricardo Cabrera's Bowman card in Bowman Chrome this year, he looks like he's 47 years old. Remember the Bobby Witt card from 2020 where it looked like he was airbrushed?
Well, I think he got the original AI that's going around right now.
You know who Ricardo Cabrera looks like? Who was the guy that was in Silicon Valley, the TV show Silicon Valley? Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
The Middle Eastern programmer guy.
Wow.
That's who he looks like.
Wow,
He
you
looks
guys
just
catching
like him.
this?
But what else am I supposed to say? I don't know what country
Cubans,
the guy's from.
A whole region of a continent.
I'm just saying that's who he looks like. It's really weird, and he
Unbelievable.
looks like he's that old.
Unbelievable.
However, believable. I was just finishing your word for you. Do you want to get back to sell it, sleeve it, or leave it? Or you just want to keep calling me
I wish this moment
unintentional
was on
racist?
video right now. All right. Continue.
Anyhow, here's the issue with
Wow.
Ricardo Cabrera. He's a shortstop. The Reds have about 5 shortstops in front of him in their prospect pipeline.
That's an issue.
Okay? And I don't know where else he fits other than shortstop. He has a decent hit tool. He doesn't have a crazy power tool. And fielding, he's just solid. He's not fantastic. So there's a lot of hype around him. Reds are going pretty expensive in breaks, things like that. Sell that guy. If he starts to make waves, buy him back cheaper. But he's not a guy that I'm hyped on, not so much because of him, but because of what's in front of him in the class, his organization.
This brings me to a more general thought, too, when it comes to prospecting.
Yeah.
For somebody for me, the Dolphins' uptick this year with winning and just having an offense that can score, I definitely was collecting more Dolphins stuff this year.
Sure.
So when you have a program like the Reds where it is not good right now, the next couple years are going to be rough too, but you have this prospecting side where it's taking off. It does feel a little bit like winning.
It does, but it's
like
also
that.
really important, and that's a very good point. Baseball is, especially on the prospecting side of things, there's so much more that goes into what makes sense to buy and hold. Unlike other sports, like if I'm collecting football cards, there's not a minor league pipeline where there's 4 quarterbacks coming up, and if they draft another one, he's behind those 4, especially if those 4 are good. That's not how it works in any other sport. In baseball, you could draft a guy with all the tools in the world, number 1 overall, but if there's 3 guys in front of him that are all already producing in the professional level, they're going to get their shot before he does. Like, it's just how it is. And if they play well, guess what he's going to do? Get traded or stay in the minors.
And that's what makes this game so different from the other major sports.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing what's happening at the college level with all these other sports, or if it's a player overseas, basketball, whatever, it happens fast. Baseball, again, I've referenced it a few times, but Frank Kona in that Jordan documentary just talked about how many thousands of at-bats you need to see at the minor league level before you even know what you're really working with.
Yeah.
You can have a 5-tool player, super athletic, they check those boxes. When they see enough sliders moving out of the zone at 89 to 92 miles an hour, and they struggle and then adapt to that, that's what they want to know.
Or you get those guys that Like, I was talking to somebody the other day at a show. We were talking baseball. One of my favorite things about shows is 1 out of every 10 people that walk up to your table is an actual baseball guy, and I'll talk to him for an hour. Emmanuel Clase, who's the closer for the Indians, if you're trying to hit against that dude, you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
There is zero chance. You are praying. You might as well close your eyes and swing the bat and hope, because he throws a 102-mile-an-hour cutter that moves 19 inches horizontally. What are you going to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Guess. Pray and guess.
Yep.
So, anyhow.
Back to
Ricardo Cabrera, sell.
Sell him right now. Let's pull up our last one here on this. Sell it, sleeve it, or leave it. Rain Duncan over at the Dodgers.
So, the only problem with Rain Duncan with the Dodgers is he's with the Dodgers. The Dodgers farm system is absolutely, and when I say absolutely ridiculous, I mean insanely ridiculous, okay? Michael Bush has torched AAA for 3 years, like 330, 30, just killing it. Couldn't get promoted because Cody Bellinger was slashing 217, 265, 280 in center field for the Dodgers. So that's the hard thing about it. But he's 18 years old, crazy good eye. Walked more than he struck out last year. That's a huge thing.
Plate discipline for somebody in the minor leagues is with power is hard to come by.
Yeah. I mean, he hit 12 home runs in 62 games, right? Batting average on balls in play, I think, was 265 or 270. He's going to be big from a body standpoint, but very projectable corner outfielder. Guy who, if he continues to progress, is a 30 home run, 270 hitter.
Yeah.
And on one of the biggest payrolls in one of the most popular markets in baseball, there's a lot to love hobby-wise there. He's a guy that I'm sleeving and holding on to.
All right. That's a fun little segment. So if you're doing Bowman Chrome, I'm sure that you've been taking notes. I'm sure that you've been listening. This is probably the third time that you've listened to this segment. But those of you who felt a little bit of an abrupt transition there.
We're going here, huh?
I hit pause, and I was informed that Gary had a storm cloud of brewing in his stomach.
Yeah, it came on like a summer storm, and it wasn't going to pass through without raining a little bit.
You said, I almost just pooped myself. I need to go.
Yes.
There's a bathroom really close to here. I thought it would be fun to tell him that he had to go up 4 flights of stairs.
I almost didn't make it.
I know. That was the
That
joke.
was brutal.
Ha
I'm wearing white sweatpants, by the way.
See, I prefer we use metaphors.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back.
Yeah.
I don't
sorry
even know
about
where
that,
we
guys.
left off, but hopefully that was helpful for you on
I
Bowman.
kind of assumed that you would go back 10 seconds, listen, and we would just come right back in without this whole sidetrack.
What people like about us is just we're real people, and with real digestive tracts.
Well, the extra spicy ramen I had for dinner last night was like, hello, we meet again.
I told my brothers the other day, we were texting about being sore or something like that. I can't remember what it was. I said, yeah, I pay way more attention to my digestion than ever before. Spend way more time thinking about it.
Well, one, you're getting older, so that happens. But two, our job is us in a van driving sometimes an hour and a half or two between customers.
It's a legitimate fear.
And then when we're at the customer, we're sometimes in their garage for a couple hours, and we're not allowed to use their bathroom. Yeah. I've had to knock on a customer's door and be like, hey, I need to run to the hardware store to pick up a random part that I didn't have on my van, when really I just got to get to the closest gas station as quickly as possible.
I have to leave a loaf at the 7-Eleven.
Yes.
All right, let's move along. That's disgusting. Let's talk NFL. If you've been under a rock, this guy named Brock Purdy's just been blowing up.
Yeah, don't buy it, but if you've got it, sell it.
You were saying some of his RPAs were going for
They're
how much?
selling for more than Joe Burrow RPAs are right now. It's insane.
man.
And these are the same people who a year from now are going to be complaining that the hobby is crashing and nothing they have is worth anything anymore. Yeah, because you're a moron.
Hey, Brock Purdy, all due respect, has stepped in as a leader.
Yeah.
He's doing his job very well.
Yes, he is. And what most people are thinking in their brains when they're spending this money on Brock Purdy is the last 6th or 7th round pick that did this early in their career is Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Brock Purdy ain't Tom Brady, folks. Mm-hmm. At least I don't think he is. Is there a 1 in 10,000 chance that he is? Sure. Or should you be spending $6,000 on a of 25 RPA in a college uni of Brock Purdy? No, you should not.
Maybe worth selling him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like his
hype's an
stuff.
interesting thing because we could also talk about Baker Mayfield and the night he had Thursday Night Football, put a good drive together. Sure, there were a couple penalties. He made some really great passes. Mentally, the guy is pretty resilient to go through what he's been through in the last couple of years, have that kind of showing. However, he's not been in L.A. long enough for his teammates to realize how much they hate him. And when that happens again for the third time, it's still going to be a problem. He is a far more talented and mentally tough Johnny Manziel.
Well, I don't think that he's that much of a douche. I think that he definitely rubs people the wrong way sometimes, but I also...
Why is he pushed out while he's producing in Cleveland?
That was a little different animal. The Cleveland thing was a little different animal. I have much more of a thought process that it was some chemistry-related things in Carolina.
Did you see him trying to dap people up in Carolina?
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. There were definitely some chemistry things there. The one thing that I think I noticed in that L.A. game was something I hadn't seen from Baker Mayfield in 3 years, which was when he did something well, he wasn't pounding his chest. He was running up to the guy who made the catch and congratulating them.
Okay.
If he's learned from his mistakes, I think he has a chance to become, again, a productive NFL quarterback. Is he going to be an all-time great? No. But can he be productive in the right system? Yes.
Here's what I would do. If he has a average, he's back this week, right?
He's starting.
Yeah. If he
He'll
has
start
an
the rest of the
average
year.
performance, nothing crazy this week, you start to see some of those posts for RPAs. Because people went heavy collecting him, and they got him at a cheap price if they bought him his rookie year, because it was right before everything went nuts. A cheaper.
His stuff tripled after that game last week.
It's if he kind of takes a dive, that's not a bad one to hold on to. Just with the program, just with the possibility, just because he's somebody that the media loves. Like, he'll be on commercials again, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it wasn't in the notes, but Baker's an interesting comparison when you look at those two guys seizing the moment.
Well, there's two things you really got to keep in. 3 things you really got to keep in mind with Baker.
And a couple of his throws in that last drive were unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody's ever doubted his talent level. And there's 3 things in that LA situation that to consider if you're thinking about grabbing some Baker Mayfield stuff. First one is this. There is a reasonable chance that Matt Stafford retires. He has a bruised spinal cord. He has a bruised spinal cord because he has a bulging disc in his neck. There's only one way to fix a bulging disc in your neck, and that is surgery. And they will take the disc out, and they will fuse your spine together in that spot. That's what ended Chris Spielman's career. That's what ended Andy's career. Like, there's stuff like that is real, and there's risk involved in those surgeries.
Oh, absolutely.
Matt Stafford's already played 12 years in the NFL. He's already made his money, and he's, according to a lot of people, a borderline Hall of Fame player.
Yeah. And if you go through with the surgery, it's like, hey, you're going to do this surgery to squeeze out another 5 years of you getting thrown into the ground by 350-pound guys.
Right, exactly. Like, so what's the benefit of him going through the surgery and coming back? He may, but there's a reasonable chance he doesn't. And if he doesn't have the surgery and decides to just play again, this bruised spinal cord is going to happen again.
Yeah.
So that's a consideration. Here's another consideration that's a negative for Baker Mayfield. For the last 2 seasons, every broadcast network on the planet has been trying to throw money at Sean McVay to leave the sideline and go into a broadcast booth. And at a certain point, if you're a Sean McVay and you're just now 40 years old, you've won a Super Bowl, you've made a ton of money, and you could go into a job that requires you to work 80% less than you are now and make more money than you are right now. At a certain point, that balance gets so out of whack that you just can't say no to it anymore, right? And you've already accomplished a Super Bowl win. You're the youngest coach to ever win a Super Bowl. You're considered an offensive genius for good reason. So if he leaves, that hurts Baker because I will say that offense, what that offense does is literally tailor-made for Baker Mayfield's skill set.
Yeah.
It's timing and it's play action.
I agree.
So all things to keep in mind.
Interesting thing to keep an eye on. All right, to wrap it up, we have a segment called Playoff Pickup. So everything that's happened in the NFL season, whatever you've invested in, maybe you did like me, where a lot of it tanked out. Maybe you did well like Gary, where you made some good picks and you're up on your investments. But we want to kind of run through some playoff pickups, people that it may be worth picking up, it may be worth selling before we get to the playoffs, because we know that if somebody has a poor showing and they've been climbing, the value can tank pretty quick. It's still a volatile market, even though there's been market correction when we're talking about selling singles, slabs, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to kind of run through a few of them. And essentially, this whole segment is going into the playoffs. So we're talking just this next couple of weeks. Is this somebody that I would pick up if you could get it at the current value they're going for now, that they'll have a bump going into the playoffs with, potentially through the playoffs? But there's always a risk once the season ends. Once your team's eliminated, it is going to take a dive. So here we go.
Yep.
Up first, pretty obvious one to talk about, Jalen Hurts, who's been a monster for my fantasy league all year.
Yeah. He is, in my opinion, he's the MVP if the season ended right now.
I agree.
Especially in the NFC. His cards are still really undervalued. You can pick up SGC 10 and CSG 10 base Prism rookies for $50 to $60.
Yeah.
His raw Prism rookies are $20 to $25. Mm-hmm. In comparison, a Joe Burrow raw Prism rookie is $80.
Yeah.
Right? Now, two totally different types of player.
For sure.
So I'm not trying to say that Jalen Hurts is Joe Burrow or vice versa. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there is a value discrepancy there. The Eagles are far and away the best team in the NFC. It's really not close. I think there were people who thought maybe the Cowboys were, until the Cowboys got taken down to the last 30 seconds by the Texans, who were rotating quarterbacks every series.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have some issues. So Jalen Hurts is a guy that if you can snag his stuff, snag it. And really, you can probably get a lot of value going to card shows and buying his Chronicles rookies for $1 or $2 out of $1 and $2 boxes and selling them for $4 or $5 when the playoffs start, if he has a big game in the playoffs.
Yep. Up next would be my big pick, my favorite pick for playoff pickups, which is Jamar Chase. You know, with the injury, people kind of, because
he's out for 5 weeks.
Yeah, because of market volatility, people are very much collectors right now that are, what have you done for me lately? The Bengals are warming up at just the right time. And let's not forget, this is a young team that literally kept winning in the last second. So you can't tell them that they can't run deep into the playoffs. Their experience postseason.
They've already been to the Super Bowl.
You have so many first, second, third-year players that have had a full career of playoff games, essentially, in one season.
That offense right now, I will put up against any team in the NFL, their defense. You want to roll into San Francisco? I will put that offense up against San Francisco's defense right now. Are they going to score 40? No. Will they win that game? I would put good money on them to win that game.
Jamar Chase is somebody that people love to talk about. They love to clip up highlight reels because he becomes a highlight reel, and he has a little bit of experience now.
He missed 5 weeks and came back and hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And his stuff's down like 40%.
I'll jump on this one, and I'll just say I think that's a great playoff pickup.
Yep.
I think there's a little bit of risk that it could be a downturn, but I don't think, barring some career-ending injury in the playoffs, you're not going to lose your butt on this stuff. It's not like it's going to drop off if he doesn't perform. Up next is one for me, playoff pickups. I'll go ahead and take this and run with it. It's Tua. I think that I would not be buying any Tua right now, and let me tell you why. We had a few flashes throughout the season where we've seen this offense and what they're capable of. We've seen what Tua is capable of. Unfortunately, in the last 2 weeks, we've also seen what Tua is capable of when he's facing a defense that's made adjustments to the type of offense McDaniel's been able to put together. I still think Tua is a great quarterback. I do think he can have a long career. I do think he has to adjust to everyone else figuring out what's been working. And coming off of 2 losses, if you're listening to this right now, December the 16th, we've got Buffalo tomorrow night in Buffalo. Tua's trying to tell people he's used to the cold weather. I'm trying to figure out if that's from growing up in Hawaii or playing for Alabama or Miami, because he's not used to the cold weather.
Right.
It is going to be rough. And then the next 2 weeks, you have divisional games against New England and the Jets coming off of 3 brutally tough weeks. I just don't think that you're going to see Tua's cards climb.
No.
If they had a miracle happen in Buffalo, which in my opinion, as a Dolphins fan right now, it would take that to get past that team right now that knows playoff is right around the corner. You might see a bump, but I don't think we win out the next 3.
No.
And I don't think it's if he wins, it's because Tua puts on a show. I think it's going to be it was snowing outside and Tyreek was able to kind of run around people.
Right. Well, the biggest problem that Tua has faced is that San Francisco 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever that was, gave other teams a blueprint. What does Tua struggle? And you're a Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
What does he struggle with?
Well, he struggles if the pocket's starting to collapse. If, let's say they had a scheme where they were able to get the ball up the middle and somebody begins to, well, it's just adapting. It's adapting.
When he throws the ball, what's his biggest struggle?
Underthrowing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what teams are doing, what the Niners did, was they closed off the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And when the ball was in the middle of the field, they were playing a lot of cover 3. And when the ball was on a hash, they were playing cover 6. Okay? Cover 6, for those who don't know, is 2 times 3. You're playing cover 2 to one side, cover 3 to the other side. Usually cover 2 to the boundary, cover 3 to the field. I'm sorry, other way around. Cover 3 to the boundary, cover 2 to the field.
Say it faster. It makes you sound smart.
Anyways, when the Dolphins were at their best early in the year, it was because of deep crossers. It was because the middle of the field was getting opened up. And Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were running 15-yard ends and crossing behind stuff. They were running skinny posts. They were running hard posts. Team said, okay, we're going to take that away, and we're going to give you the outside deep throws. That's not Tua's game. He ain't capable of it. It's not. If you're as a coach, if you're Mike McDaniel and you're asking your quarterback to do that and you know he can't do it, that's on you. So Mike McDaniel's got to adjust to teams taking away the middle of the field, and he hasn't so far.
I agree that we saw a couple flashes of brilliance. If you were sitting on Tua stuff that had kind of tanked going into the season, he already had a big climb in the hobby this year.
Yep.
I do still think that they still have so much talent that they can build around. This is a program that over the next few years, Tua stays healthy, works on these things. He seems to show a decent amount of work ethic. He seems to be showing improvement. Down the road is fine, but I definitely wouldn't be buying any right now at this price point. I'd wait till postseason. If you're a Tua believer, pick it up then and buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
Up next, Garrett Wilson.
Jets are, I think, 60% to make the playoffs at this point, 58% to make the playoffs at this point. The games that they've lost this year have been tight. Now that they have officially moved on from the just absolute trash can show of Zach Wilson, to a quarterback that his...
You ain't buying Zach Wilson right now.
Jesus Christ. Zach Wilson... So here's what I'll say in Zach Wilson's defense. He was drafted 5 rounds too high, and that's not his fault. Okay? It's not his fault that he was drafted 5 rounds too high. He was the number 2 over... He's the worst number 2 overall pick since Mitch Trubisky. Okay? It also wasn't Mitch Trubisky's fault that he was drafted 4 rounds too high. But the expectation that came with it, the kid is a terrible combination, and we all know somebody like this in our actual lives, and I don't need any wisecracks from you right now, who is an awful combination of arrogant for no appreciable reason whatsoever and horribly insecure at the same time.
I just want to point out that this is me not offering any wisecracks.
Thank you. And Zach Wilson is that guy, combined with horrifyingly bad mechanics, no field vision whatsoever, and no ability to lead men. Like, and as soon as Mike White came in, that offense looked functional. It's crazy, but all of a sudden it looked functional, and his teammates believe in him. You know who believes in him the most? The Jets' first-round draft pick this year, Garrett Wilson. Their second first-round draft pick this year. Yeah. He is tearing it up. If you look at his stats, the only real difference between him and Jamar Chase last year is touchdowns. I mean, he's come off of 2 or 3 games in a row, like 9 catches, 12 catches, 11 catches, 186-yard game, 90-yard game, 130-yard game. Kid runs routes well. He gets great separation. He's got strong hands. He's not Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, but he's that next tier down from that. Yeah. And his stuff is pretty cheap right now.
Yeah, I like that the division that has been historically horrible, except for one team, it would either be the Pats or the Bills.
Yeah.
There's a little competition.
Well, there's
going
been
on.
two
They win
divisions
some
like
games.
that this
Yeah.
year. The NFC East is that
Yeah.
way too. Usually awful.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
potentially 4 playoff teams in that division right now.
I like this next playoff pickup that you're encouraging with Jared Goff.
So cheap.
So I think it's because I just like the story of what's happening there.
Yeah, so Jared Goff is what he is, right? And I think we all kind of know what Jared Goff is. He's not great, he's not terrible. However, that Lions team seems to really have something cooking, and that offense looks really,
they
really good.
are going to put points on the board every game.
They are a borderline playoff team. They just beat the number 2 team, the team with the number 2 record in the NFC, in the Vikings, and beat them pretty handily. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a heck of a receiver. They just got Jamison Williams back, their number 1 pick this year, and he looks the part. Already has a long touchdown catch. It's his second game back. The running game is solid, not spectacular, but offensively they're good. And you can buy Jared Goff stuff really, really cheap.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously cheap. And if
With a
they-
quarterback,
yeah,
if you're
if they
buying
get
into
into
that,
the playoffs,
don't buy, in my opinion. This is different than Jalen Hurts. If I'm getting Goff, who
not buying base.
yeah, you're buying SP, you're
Yep.
buying autos, you're still probably spending 20 to 50
Yeah,
bucks.
exactly.
But
But
if he doesn't pan out, it's probably going to be worth 20
same.
to 50 bucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose money, but if they get
Now,
into the
I said that
playoffs,
about Matt Ryan.
a little bit different.
Yeah, that's
a little different. If you and again, I don't think you're going to lose money on Matt Ryan in the long run because he's borderline Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But with Jared Goff, if they make the playoffs and win a game, you double your money.
We already mentioned Brock Purdy, but
Sell it.
I can't buy right now. I
No.
can't buy him right now.
And if you have it, sell it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
As fast as you can. His college uni RPAs low number were like $5,000, $6,000. It's insane.
Yep. Get your money. Get your money. Or
Yep.
trade to something. If you really believe in the guy, trade those in for something really, really SP if you're that confident.
Yeah.
I
You shouldn't be.
I don't recommend it.
No.
But you can do that. All right. T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins is the forgotten receiver for the Bengals, except for one thing.
Yeah.
He's got the same stats as Jamar Chase.
Yeah. If this is
He'd
just
be a
comes down
number 1
to-
receiver on 20 teams in the league.
basically between Chase and him, if you think that the Bengals are going to make a run, the rest of the world's going to find out how hot they're getting. I think in the next couple weeks, I'd buy it like this weekend.
Yeah, and you can buy Tiggins for Tiggins.
I like
Higgins,
it.
You can buy Higgins for half the price that you can buy Jamar Chase for.
All right, up next, T-Law. This was interesting to me because it's almost like he somehow continues to be forgotten, and he hasn't really done anything to make that happen.
He's just gotten better and better every
Yeah.
week this year. Crazy what happens when you have a legitimate NFL coaching staff.
Yeah.
This is what last year would have looked like if Doug Peterson had been the coach last year.
He's still reasonably priced. He's going to be more than Goff, but
I just had a buddy, I told you before, he just bought a Mosaic white sparkle. It was an insert. It was the NFL debut. But it's numbered to 25 as a PSA 9. He got it for $90.
Yeah.
That's crazyville. Like for a kid and the Jaguars are playing really well right now.
Yeah.
They're kind of on that border of the playoffs. Like they win 3 or 4 more games.
but look at where they were last
Who knows?
year. I mean,
Yeah.
so seeing when a program starts to turn around like that, people
It just
that-
tells you how
yeah.
bad Urban Meyer was.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh, terrible. But T-Law is a great buy right now. Now, it's going to be hard to buy his really, really high-end stuff cheap. But even that stuff I still think is a little bit undervalued compared to other guys. So, anyhow.
One more on the playoff pickups. You've got Tyler Lockett down here. He's good.
Criminally undervalued.
With
People
a caveat.
What's the caveat?
He did break his finger last night.
Yeah, but
But
if
they're
you
not
just
sure.
look at his stats, look at his production level over the last 5 years, he's a top 10 production guy in the NFL, and nobody talks about him. Nobody. And it hasn't mattered whether it's Russell Wilson. It hasn't mattered whether it's Geno Smith. It hasn't mattered who's been throwing to
He
him.
produces.
He
Yeah.
produces. He just gets open. He's really fast. He's got really good hands. He's not a big guy. He's not flashy. He's not like DK Metcalf who a safety tries to tackle him on a crossing route and the safety bounces off of him and goes 5 feet and DK Metcalf growls at him. Like, he's not that guy, but he's really good and he's really cheap.
Yeah.
And he's not a guy that I think necessarily you're going to make tons of money on, but he's a guy that either short term, I don't know that Seattle's going to make the playoffs, but if they do, you can get a little bit of a bump. But he's a guy that if you can buy him rookie autos and stuff of his,
I'd go SP
and hold him
autos,
till he retires. Like, he's a guy that one day you're going to wake up and go, oh, he had 13,000 yards and 100 touchdowns, and he's getting Hall of Fame votes.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, that's a pretty solid episode. That's a lot of information. Hopefully, all you nerds at home were writing down notes,
Yeah,
listening
it was
back.
longer for us than it was for you due to my 15-minute break in the middle, but, you know.
The best part about recording in the studio is I can hear when people flush the toilet.
Yeah. By studio, you mean your basement on the ping pong table.
I said the studio.
I know. I just want to give a real clear picture of what that looks like.
How dare you?
When I look over your shoulder, I see tons and tons of what I assume is
Can I ask you a
mostly
question?
Sydney's artwork
Hey,
with a sprinkling
Gary,
of Alex's.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How dare you?
How dare I just did. I dare all kinds of things.
That was the question.
I dare to pause an episode in the middle so that I can get rid of my spicy ramen from last night. It was spicier
For those of you
today.
that were hoping we'd bring that back up, you're welcome. We will be back with more content very soon. If you're in the Columbus area, tomorrow, December 17th, from about 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the VFW
on South High
on
Street.
South High Street. We will have a table set up down there. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have your money, and we'd love for you to have our cards.
Absolutely.
This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the sports card
See you
collector.
Oh, my
I screwed that
God,
up. Try
Gary.
it again.
Oh, my gosh. This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the sports collector.
Bye.
Peace.